right now on 5 on Your Side at 10.
A security guard shot on the job at a retirement community. Tonight, what we're learning about the 81-year-old resident accused of pulling the trigger.
Above average temperatures, but for how long? Plus, I'll time out rain and thunderstorm chances.
First tonight, a hero's homecoming.
Rustin touched a lot of lives here in St. James and Rolla, throughout the military community, I'm sure, as well.
A small Missouri town comes out to honor a fallen soldier.
Good evening. I'm Mike Bush. Ann Allred has the night off. Just hours ago, the community of St. James, Missouri lined the streets with flags for Army Chief Warrant Officer Rustin Smith. He was killed in a helicopter accident last month. 5 on Your Side's Laura Barczewski reports on how he's being remembered.
32-year-old Chief Warrant Officer Rustin Smith is a true hometown hero taken too soon.
I've got grandkids that, what's going on, Grandpa? I said, this is why you get to play basketball. This is why you get to run track. This is why you have the freedoms that you do, because of the sacrifices that not only the soldiers themselves, but their families make.
He spent more than half of his life in St. James.
We're a close-knit community. I mean, we look out for each other. I think you see that everywhere in small towns. We've known each other for years.
One of Smith's best friends growing up says the memories he'll cherish the most happened right here at St. James High School.
Many, actually, but basketball specifically. So Rustin was always, we call him country strong. He was always just the strongest guy around, and you couldn't muscle him out of anything. He would always beat you to any ball because he was just so dang strong all the time.
Patrick Lubert says after graduating high school in 2009, they went to Missouri S&T together before Smith joined the Army. He served as a Black Hawk pilot in the 101st Airborne Division with tours in Afghanistan and Germany.
Knowing Rustin and knowing his upbringing, we all knew he would be very successful in that role. He was always the strongest, the brightest, and always was able to put a smile on your face.
He died in a helicopter crash alongside 9 other soldiers during a nighttime training mission near Fort Campbell, Kentucky.
It doesn't actually feel real quite yet, honestly, for myself at least. Whenever I learned about it that day, it was a very hard day.
Lubert was there to welcome Smith home to St. James with a special procession down Jefferson Street.
Condolences to his family and to all of our friends, and that we know how much he meant to us and that we'll never forget him. He'll always be in our memories.
Reporting in St. James, Laura Barczewski, 5 on Your Side.
A visitation will be held Saturday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at St. James Middle School. A memorial service will take place immediately after. Smith will be buried with full military honors at the Missouri Veterans Cemetery at Fort Leonard Wood. Developing tonight, St. Louis police investigating after a woman was hurt during an attempted robbery at South County's Quick Trip. This happened around 5:30 near Rivas Barracks on I-55. Police say a woman was hit by a car. She was taken to the hospital with life-threatening injuries. Police have not released a description of the car they're looking for. Developing tonight, we're learning more about an abandoned home that caught fire in the Grove neighborhood today. Firefighters say they're not sure how it got started, but neighbors say they've seen vagrants and suspicious behavior happening there for months. As 5 on Your Side's Brent Solomon joins us live to explain, people who live nearby have their suspicions.
It was only a matter of time. That's what people who live in the area are telling me tonight. More on that in just a moment. But first, I've been speaking with fire investigators who tell me they ran into a couple of challenges when they went to put out the fire.
See for yourself, an abandoned home now destroyed after catching fire on the 4400 block of Norfolk Avenue in the Grove. It started around 10 in the morning. Firefighters weren't able to go in.
The crews were advised that this particular vacant building had a high probability of collapse.
St. Louis Fire Captain Garen Mosby tells me crews were able to put out the fire, but then 4 hours later, another fire at another abandoned home 2 doors down.
We believe that possibly an ember might have drifted down from the first fire and landed on the roof, because we had a small fire in the roof in that vacant building.
They're not so sure what led to it.
A lot of times when it's cold outside, you think a warming fire. It's pretty nice today, but then there's always cooking.
What do you think was happening inside?
We think people were cooking meth in there and probably distributing out of there, and people kept trucking back and forth.
This woman asked we not identify her. She lives close to the scene.
We've seen people coming and going since the wintertime. We've been in contact with city officials and the police and trying to alert people that people are coming in and out. They always seem, high, and they're hanging over dumpsters.
On top of that,
our propane tanks were stolen in the winter, and we found bleach bottles everywhere. So we've kind of been expecting this.
An eyesore for the neighborhood.
That's disappointing and upsetting, especially in a neighborhood that we are seeing grow and we want to see continue to grow and encourage local businesses and a community here. And I wish people would be more responsive when concerned neighbors are reaching out.
Now, no one was hurt in those fires. The cause of the fire has been deemed undetermined. I'm live in St. Louis tonight. Brent Solomon, 5 on your side.
New information tonight on a story we brought you as breaking news last night at 10. Tonight, Joseph Moore is charged with 2 counts of murder and armed criminal action for killing his parents inside their home in Hazelwood. Police say Moore shot at an officer when they responded to Woody Court last night. Officers returned gunfire before Moore shot himself. Police say violence is a rare occurrence in this neighborhood.
Well, this incident was a pretty quiet neighborhood, and this was a domestic violence issue. So it wasn't a random violent act. This was everybody knew each other. They were all family members.
Moore remains in serious condition at a local hospital. When he recovers, he will be transferred to jail. Tonight, police are still looking for the man who shot and killed another man in the Jeff Vanderloo neighborhood. Police were patrolling the intersection of Dr. Martin Luther King and Glasgow Avenue Tuesday night when they heard shots fired. That's when they found 33-year-old Patrick James lying in the street. He died at the scene. Police are asking anyone with information about the suspect to call Crime Stoppers. That number, 866-371-TIPS. Tonight, a security guard is recovering 5 days after he was shot on the job at this St. Charles retirement community. The accused gunman, an elderly resident. New tonight, our Robert Townsend digs into court documents which shed some light on why the 81-year-old man allegedly pulled the trigger.
On an ordinary day, the Windsor Estates retirement community in St. Charles looks peaceful. But around 10 Friday night, police went to the senior living campus after gunfire rang out. Officers saw a 22-year-old security guard had been shot. Police arrested 81-year-old Constantino Spadafora, a resident here.
You don't see older adults really injuring or trying to hurt other people.
According to a probable cause statement, the security guard was inspecting a light that had been switched off in the cafeteria. Investigators say the guard turned the light on and made contact with Spadafora, who shot him in his stomach. Police arrested the elderly suspect in his apartment. They also say they found a gun in his residence. We wanted to know, how did Spadafora get his hands on a gun? Plus, how long was it in his possession? No one would say. Police did tell me Friday marked the first time they've been called to investigate a violent crime here at this place.
So I would assume he has a mental illness.
Dr. Jamaica Woody Cooper is a clinical psychologist and program director at Webster University. She says there are key signs of mental illness to look for before someone turns to violence.
So mood changes, personality changes, confusion.
In a statement, Sharon Wooten, the administrator at Windsor Estates, said in part, "We understand that this incident has caused fear and uncertainty in our community, and we want to assure you that we are committed to taking measures to prevent similar incidents from occurring in the future." Robert Townsend, 5 on your side.
Spadafora is charged with first-degree assault and armed criminal action. He's in jail on a $200,000 cash-only bond. A bill to return control of the St. Louis Police Department to the state is now headed to the Missouri Senate. Today, the Public Safety Committee advanced House Bill 702. It would create a 5-member board made up of the mayor and 4 commissioners appointed by the governor. St. Louis Mayor Tashara Jones responded to the bill, said a state takeover of SLMPD would do nothing to make St. Louis safer. Kansas City, the only place in the country with police still under state control, just experienced its 3 most violent years in history. A state takeover just pushes politics into public safety, making police more responsive to Jefferson City-approved bureaucrats than the neighborhoods they serve.
It's happening all over the world. It's not right. You can't even send your kids to make sure they have a good education.
Tonight, there's an investigation into threats of an active shooter made to schools all across Illinois. One of them was Granite City High School. Parents showed up to find police, SWAT teams, and ambulances swarming the school. Many were distraught about the possibility that their child could be hurt.
It's a nightmare. It's an absolute nightmare. And I'm sure every parent feels this way. I think about it every morning before I drop my children off.
Police swept the building and did not find a credible threat to the school, and no one was hurt. There were 21 calls of threats reported throughout 19 counties. Police continue to investigate where all the threats came from. Well, some good news tonight about a Tennessee teenager whose life was forever changed during a visit to St. Louis. Janae Edmondson returned to school today. Her family called it her second first day of her senior year. They say she's thankful for all the support and love she's received. Janae, of course, was hit by a car when she was in town for a volleyball tournament, which caused her to lose both of her legs. A GoFundMe page has raised more than $800,000 for Janae, and you can find a link to donate just by texting the word support to 314-425-5355.